Bennett Kessler filed this report. 3 more critical employees have left their jobs with the town of Mammoth Lake's government. Morale has sunk, and some say they fear the new town manager and her style. Mariana Marashiva Martinez sent workers 2 memos that speak to some of their fears. The town council for Mammoth Lakes voted to appoint Mariana Marashiva Martinez to the spot of town manager after they accepted former manager Dave Wilbrecht's resignation. Now, as the town government's woes string on like a painful soap opera, some workers whose positions were eliminated on a recommendation from Martinez point to what they feel is a heartless management style. Now, asked about this, Martinez said no one has brought this to her attention. She said, quote, "I communicate very directly. Sometimes people don't like that," end quote. She pointed out that the town council hired her to deal with specific items: the Hot Creek lawsuit, bankruptcy, and restructuring. Marashiva Martinez said she was not hired to manage people. She said, quote, "This has not been my responsibility to engage in employee morale management. Now," said Martinez, "it is my job. I see that morale is low, and together we have to fix it," end quote. Now, the new town manager, who officially takes over Thursday, said the whole situation in Mammoth town government has scared people. She said when there is stress like this, it has emotional, physical, and uncertainty impacts. Now, most of the time, Martinez said, it's negative and people see no hope. She said, quote, "The role of the town manager and town leadership is to help show hope. I think I'm good at that," she said. "I see the positive." She compared Mammoth to a surgery patient. She said when the surgery is done, recovery is next. Now, to the fact that her base home and family are in Pasadena, not Mammoth Lakes, Martinez said she does care about the Mammoth community. "If I didn't care," she said, "I wouldn't have sacrificed time with my family. My commitment is to this town," end quote. Now, Martinez did share with Sierra Wave Media 2 memos she recently sent to the Mammoth town staff. Now, the first memo addressed plans to fill critical vacancies. Human Resources Risk Manager Robin Picken now works for the city of Bishop, and Community and Economic Development Supervisor Ellen Clark has left, and so has grants analyst Karen Seibert. Now, Martinez shared short-term and long-term plans to handle the vacancies, and you can see those memos on our website, sierrawave.net. The second memo, entitled Employee Morale, What We Can and Will Do to Improve and Sustain It. Now, in that memo, Marashiva Martinez said she sees that employee morale is dangerously low. She said she has made it a high priority to improve it. The new town manager asked for help and support from workers. Her ideas range from filling critical vacancies to more meetings with workers and more communication with local media. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this story. As Bishop City Administrator Keith Caldwell said, honors to a 50-year Bishop kindergarten teacher set the tone for a peaceful and upbeat Bishop City Council meeting Monday night. Even Bishop City Council members who had originally disagreed came together to appoint a new member. Now, officials had kept it a surprise that they planned to honor Valerie Needham, who has taught kindergarten in Bishop for 50 years. Needham had even taught Bishop School Superintendent Barry Simpson, who cheerfully produced his childhood report card in the presentation for the faithful teacher. A crowded audience of family, friends, and past students congratulated Valerie Needham. Now, council members handled some routine matters, including adoption of a social media policy for the City of Bishop government, and finally got to the issue of the vacancy on the council and how to fill it. Now, at an earlier meeting, it looked like a 2-2 vote on the process to appoint a council person. 2 wanted to go out for applicants, and 2 wanted to appoint the 4th highest vote getter in last November's election. Now, disagreement would have forced the issue to an election, but all council members opted to support consideration of appointment of Keith Glidewell, who had lost the November election, but again did gain the 4th highest number of votes, and that was 423 votes. Now, Glidewell and his parents and other supporters sat in the audience Monday night as the council voted unanimously to appoint him to the vacant seat created by former council member Jeff Griffiths, who was elected to the Inyo County Board of Supervisors. Administrator Keith Caldwell said that he administered the oath of office to Glidewell, and he called this duty an honor. The Bishop City Council adjourned their meeting to a council retreat, which is open to the public, and that is scheduled for next Thursday, February 21st, and that's scheduled to start at 8:30 a.m. at the Bishop City Hall Executive Conference Room, and the next regular council meeting is Monday, February 25th. Well, Bennett Kessler filed this report. In 2010, the Mammoth Lakes Planning Commission reasoned that a medical marijuana nursery would operate under the same regulations as any nursery. As one planner said, just like anyone selling poinsettias or ferns. Well, a few years later, however, things may have changed. Medical marijuana issues have gone to court and activities are heavily regulated. Now, the Mammoth Planning Commission expected to talk about medical marijuana nurseries at their meeting that was scheduled for today. Now, Mammoth Lakes Wellness has proposed to open a nursery in conjunction with its medical marijuana dispensary, and that move prompted staff to examine where and how marijuana plant business should locate. Now, the Planning and Economic Development Commission agenda says that officials would discuss whether medical marijuana grows are an appropriate use within the commercial zoning designations. A town ordinance lays out where medical marijuana dispensaries can locate, either in industrial or commercial zones. Now, Associate Planner Jen Daughtry said that the staff has recommended that the medical marijuana nurseries be physically and legally connected to a dispensary and located adjacent to a co-op. Now, this recommendation says the operator of a marijuana nursery should be the same as the operator of a dispensary. Now, asked why the staff has made this recommendation, Daughtry said for security reasons and other considerations. She said if the nursery were owned and operated by a separate entity, this would bring in another level of scrutiny, and Daughtry said the commission will discuss the possibilities. Meanwhile, the Planning Commission did grant a medical marijuana dispensary permit to Don Wright Jr. of Mammoth Lakes, who is reportedly in the process of reopening the former Mammoth Green dispensary that was originally owned and operated by Steve Klassen of Mammoth. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this story. New lakes and ponds making some big news in Inyo County, and so a major rehabilitation of one of the Buckley ponds east of Bishop that attracted a long list of local people, businesses, and government agencies. Catherine Hurdle captured the action as contractors with heavy equipment volunteered their time and effort to haul out loads of dirt. Now, Dick Knowles, often at the head of local volunteer projects, said the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power asked him last year if he could help with rehab of another Buckley pond. Knowles said the DWP told him if he could get volunteers together, they would put the effort into it. And Knowles said local contractors and countless others responded, and DWP agreed to contribute. Now, to name a few who go to the pond area to dredge it and move it out, remove tules, that would be the Forest Service, the Paiute Tribe, local contractors like Preferred Septic and Bishop Waste, Tim Hansen and Lee Vining, Art Hickman of Lone Pine, Brown Supply, the Rotary, Lions Club, and especially Lefty Irwin, who is also the spearhead of many volunteer projects. Now, the group clearing out the pond area, inserting old Christmas trees as habitat for young fish, and also building a handicap ramp. Now, Knowles said the idea is to rehab the pond and create a great warm water fishing area. The community had earlier refurbished the first Buckley pond, which is now full of water, and volunteers plan for the second pond to look like the first, and donations are coming in for bass and channel catfish. Now, the Buckley ponds or lakes are tied together, and Knowles said the southern lake is complete with volunteers now focusing on the northern lake, and next year they hope to rehab the middle lake. We thank Catherine Hurdle and Bennett Kessler for that report, and a lot of great volunteers out there. We'll be back with more news.